puhutaan ei todellakaan ensimmäistä kertaa, mutta mainonnan mittaamisesta. Mulla tuntuu, että mainonnan mittaaminen, tuloksellisuus ja vaikuttavuus on noussut ehkä tämän vuoden tärkeimmäksi teemaksi. Ja siitä puhutaan mun mielestä joka käänteessä ja joka kulman takana. Mun nimi on Pasi Raassinan, mä olen IAB-toimari ja podcastissa meillä on vieraita AudienceProject-nimiseltä yritykseltä tehoduo Ourila Juha Suomesta ja Martin Radford englanniksi. Mä luulen, että meidän pitäisi kääntää kieli nyt enkuksi ja sanoa tervetuloa meidän vieraille. So welcome Juha and welcome Martin. How are you guys doing today? And welcome to IAB Finland podcast.
Very well, thank you.
Well.
Yeah, well.
Okay. Are you, Martin, good as well?
All good, thank you very much. It's a typical English summer wet day.
Okay, it's raining raining in Finland as well. Yeah. Okay. As a start, would you like to guys say something about yourselves to the IAB podcast listeners? Who are you and what you are doing at AudienceProject? Would you like to, Martin, as you are the very, very special guest, would you like to start?
Thank you very much. So I'm Martin Radford. I'm a solutions director at AudienceProject here in the UK, but my role spreads across all the markets that we operate in. I'm coming up to my 31st anniversary in my career in media. I joined straight from university. I worked at Zenith Media as a TV buyer for about 5 years, and then I joined a small consultancy called Billits, which then grew into Ubiquity. It's probably the dominant force in media auditing globally now. And I worked there for 25 years, did some work with AudienceProject, and joined here in October last year.
Okay. Sounds impressive. How about you, Juha?
Well, yeah, I'm Juha Ourila and I'm the country manager for AudienceProject here in Finland. I've been working for AudienceProject now more than a year, approximately. My background is in media and marketing, mostly in media. I started my career in late 90s at FinPanel, then went to radio media or RAB Finland at that point. Then I joined the management team in Bauer Media, like for 10 years. And then I joined the local Comscore team and went to digital after that. Then did some work as a private consultant. And now I'm here, home at AudienceProject.
Okay, home at AudienceProject. Sounds good. Yeah. Is it, Juha, okay that you are the special guest, but Martin is the special guest?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Creme de la creme.
I'll remind you of that next time I see you in person.
Yeah. Let's go to the first topic. IAB Europe launched a new version of Adex study. It's a study about digital advertising market in Europe. And the year 2024 figures was launched last week, and there's lots of interesting information, and actually we are having a separate webinar about the results in a couple of weeks. But Martin, as you live in UK, so this is an excellent possibility to ask you a couple of questions about the digital advertising market in the UK. UK seems to be year after year the biggest country when it comes to amount of digital advertising, and also the market is growing very rapidly. What is the secret? What are you doing, guys?
It's a very good question. And when you showed me the chart for the first time, I hadn't seen the data before, and it's really interesting from what it pulls out. The consistencies that we see. So we see lots of the big markets that the year-on-year change is very, very similar. Obviously, the UK sits a long way to the right. We spend a lot of money per capita on advertising in the UK. We'll come to talk about the Finnish figure shortly, no doubt. But I think what we're very good at in the UK is analyzing the data, trying to work out why things work, and acting on that. We're really lucky that we have an awful lot of advertising data at our fingertips. We can look for television, we can look at all advertisers and understand the delivery, which means we get to see the trends, and we can see the change in viewing to linear TV that's been on a trend for the last 10, 11, 12 years, and really accelerated during COVID. But that means that brands are looking to digital to make up the reach that's missing from linear TV in whatever format that may be. And I should also point to some former colleagues at Ubiquity who did some work with Thinkbox and WPP about this time last year with a study called Profitability 2. That essentially was looking at long-term ROI, short-term ROI, which channels are good, growing, etc. And all of that data comes from analytics. In the UK, there is a huge analytics foundation to people's advertising. So if it's working, then people will put money there. So there's evidence behind an awful lot of this spend. So that's what I think is driving a lot of the UK growth.
Super interesting. You said that there is lots of evidence and lots of data behind every decision, how much to advertise in different channels and that kind of stuff. I think we will let Juha speak in 1 minute also, for example, about the Finnish market. But I think my one concern is that Finnish advertisers tend to focus too much in performance marketing. Do we see a new rise for brand marketing in UK?
Again, you're right to raise that as a really interesting point. There was certainly a shift towards performance advertising maybe 10, 11 years ago or so. Advertisers now do a better job internally at explaining to the board, to the CFO, why they shouldn't just put all of their advertising on digital. They need to build a brand. They need advertising that gets attention. They need creative that is strong and that works, because all of these things work together. So we quite often in the UK have a hybrid of brand performance, just because people are online so easily. We sit there multi-screen, we're watching the telly and the phone is available. So we can see an ad and react and look at the search results on the back of it. But I think brands are more aware that they have to do a branding job. It doesn't mean to say it's any easier nowadays. But yeah, there is definitely more of a focus on being able to have your brand stand for something in a really cluttered marketplace.
Okay, you have been taking a look of the study, Adex study as well. How is Finland doing this year?
Well, it seems to be awful.
Awful.
I mean,
oh my God.
We're standing alone in the lower corner. We're not in the corner, but in the very close to the x-axis. Yeah. So we don't see a lot of growth. We're spending very little money per pizza. I don't know. It's we're like the black sheep or the odd couple or whatever term you wanna use. One comment to Martin's previous comments. I mean, we do have a lot of data in Finland as well. I mean, we're one of the oldest, if not the oldest, TV meter country, for instance. We have had continuous radio advertising measurement since 1991. The commercial TV and radio are one of the oldest ones in Europe and in the world. Like the MTV is, I think, the 4th oldest commercial TV company in the world. So the history and the amount of data we have, in my opinion, doesn't really explain why we differ so much from not only from UK, but for instance from other Nordics and even from the East European countries as well. It's like we discussed earlier when getting ready for this podcast. It's a pretty odd phenomenon. What's happening?
It is, and I will say it one more time. As this was the second time in a row when the digital growth of the digital advertising in Finland was the weakest among all European countries. Yeah. Of course, the economic situation haven't been very positive in Finland for 4, 5, even 6 years, but anyway, we have been very, very poor now 2 years in a row.
We've had quite a lot of work done on advertising through recessions. We haven't had a recession in the UK for a while, but whenever there is a potential economic downturn, brands, consultancies, auditors, etc., and the agencies will push these sort of studies forward on LinkedIn and in discussion with clients, and it goes back to the value of having brand as well as performance. Yeah. Give people a reason to spend money and a reason to grow. But the difference that you highlighted is quite stark, particularly when you look at where most of the other countries are.
Yeah. Although the Adex wasn't very positive for Finland, but all in all, it was super positive. Amount of digital advertising in Europe last year grew almost 16%, which is huge, and 67% of all marketing in Europe is digital at the moment, which is good, I think. But should we go dwell into the topic itself? So cross-media measurement and media mix modeling. I think it's starting to be a hot topic in Finland. Almost every discussion, not everyone, but many times in a day when working at IAB Finland, there's discussions about the media mix modeling and cross-media measurement. Do you agree that the media landscape, which is still fragmenting, is the main reason that it is very, very trending at the moment?
Do you want to take that, Juha?
No, go ahead, Martin.
Okay. Absolutely. Brands are faced with an ever-increasing number of channels and almost limitless amount of inventory that they can buy.
That's true.
And there are numerous ways that you can buy and you can find. So you can just use generic targeting data. You can use all the signals. You can overlay first-party data on top of it. And again, I mentioned it earlier. Things like attention. So actually, how much time do people spend looking at the advert are all ways to try and unpick what's going on. We've all seen presentations from media owners where they're the best thing since sliced bread, as we say over here in the UK. And MMM boils that down and basically says, does the advertising activity, does it pay back? How far can you push your spend? Where should you stop your spend to become efficient? And it's interesting within profitability too, even though linear TV in the UK has seen declining audiences and rising prices, the ROI is still very, very strong. It's the biggest share. It's the most consistent driver of ROI. And a lot of that has come from MMM, who have reduced the amount of spend or rationalized the amount of spend that needs to go into that channel to make sure that it's still effective. And that leaves brands with sometimes quite a lot of money that they can put into other channels. But MMM is certainly the way that advertisers are looking to understand how they navigate the landscape to an increasing degree.
Okay, yeah. What do you think, Juha?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm approaching and speaking with the advertisers, I think it's more or less sort of a small surprise that they haven't started to think the media mix modeling or cross-media measurement before. I mean, it's like when I'm telling them that it's a global challenge for every advertiser around the globe, that you get measurements for each channel separately. have you thought about it, that you get the gross figures, the net figures, the duplicated figures, and they really haven't thought about it. They are so focused on optimizing the advertising on Google or Meta or TV or they are relying on performance marketing that they haven't really even thought about it through, which is kind of amazing in my opinion. We do know, I mean, every advertiser knows how much they pay for advertising in each platform, and they know the CPMs, and they're pretty close to each other. So it's not like when you want to have more efficiency in your advertising, it's not like when you're, let's say, producing a sort of like a cement figures for your yard. I mean, if you want to be more efficient when producing statues, you need to find a sand supplier that sells the sand with cheaper price, and you can sort of try to lower the expenses. But in media advertising, it doesn't really lead you to have more efficiency if you try to find cheaper mediums. It doesn't work that way. What you have to do, you have to look into other ways of doing efficiency better, which basically means that you need to invest time and resources and money to find the caveats in your marketing mix and the allocation you're using. And I think I don't know. I think it's harder than optimizing performance marketing, and I think that's why it's overlooked.
It is. The measurement is much more harder. Martin, what do you see the role of the fact that the old methods for measuring advertising, digital advertising, they are kind of breaking down? If I mean about the loss of the third-party cookies and that kind of stuff, is it a driver for advertisers that they start to look for new methods?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and something that Juha said sort of brought it to mind as well. What digital has done is given brands the opportunity to understand the markets in a way that works for them. And so lots of the clients that I've worked with over the last 10, 15 years or so, when they do MMM, they'll also do testing as well. So we're used to see digital activity and we see some impressions come back, and we spent some money, we have some impressions, we have a CPM. And there was obviously the rise of viewability, and certainly clients that we work with, they've shown that improved viewability means that more people see their advertising, means more people respond, therefore they get more business, and there's a long-term value at the back of it. But we've also seen brands look at some of these platforms in different ways. If I advertise just on television versus just on screens, on devices, does that produce a different result? If I buy generic targeting versus in market, does that produce a different result? Is a completed view better than a skipped advert? And sometimes the results that we see are not what we would expect, and it means that agencies have to pivot. So to use the example of a skippable versus non-skippable, there was a test done at Bipsy, and actually AudienceProjectin ran the measurement side of it as well. And the agency had pushed for a 6-second non-skippable ad because the cost per completed view would be lower. That's, if you like, an old school measure. What the work found was that the skippable advert, which was only 40% completed, had an ROI, a profit ROI, that was 3.5 times greater than the ad that was 90% was watched all the way through. So suddenly, it's not about getting people to watch all of your ads, even if it's a short ad. It's about being able to put different products, different prices, get your brand up in there early, and look at the market in a different way. And I think it's the test and learn culture which we see at lots of big advertisers over here in the UK, that I think really drives that the interest and the growth and to some extent the excitement about the industry, because now I can do something that you know, that skippable versus non-skippable, suddenly that drove a planning behavior and a creative behavior, and it started to permeate through all the different elements of the business.
Makes sense. And when discussing about MMN and cross-media measurement, I think there's same questions that come up almost every time. Is it okay for you if we go over a couple of them most asked questions, and let's see, what is your comments about?
I'm not a nutrition, but I'll try. Yes.
Yeah. Most likely you have heard, Martin, these ones thousands and thousands times, and Juha as well. First one: when doing MMN, data must be top quality, and that makes MMN projects quite difficult.
In terms of media data, actually what goes in from a media perspective a lot of the time is fairly basic. It's spend and it's adults impressions, broken down by week. So that's pretty basic. If you take an FMCG product, a basic model will probably have between 50 and 100 variables. You've got the weather, you've got distribution, you've got all sorts of price within there. If you take a complex model, which might be something like mobile phone market, you've got between 100 and 150 variables. And so there'll be promotions and new brand launches, all this sort of stuff. And yet the media measures will still say very, very much the same. What we're looking at in the UK, the conversations that we've got going on with MMM providers is about being able to provide segmented age and gender weekly 1+ reach for the digital platforms that can be put alongside or on top of the linear television. Because you can start to look at questions like, is 40% reach off linear television, is that better or worse than 40% reach that comes from Netflix and Amazon and Disney? And those sort of questions that's the next step. So to go back to your original question, in terms of media data, does it have to be top notch? I wouldn't say it's top notch data at the basic level, but there's an opportunity to improve it. And actually Google's gold standard is to have reach in the models that they run. If you look for the Google Bayesian hierarchical model on Google, you'll find a paper and you can read it in your own time.
Thanks. Do you, Martin, still agree that the slogan "shit in, shit out"?
Yes.
Yes, good. One more very, very short question. You said that weekly based data, you put weekly based data in. Is it enough?
I think if you start to get below that, then you start to get potentially quite a lot of noise.
Okay.
Because weekly is a good enough level to see reactions on it. But there are too many variables. Big TV programs might suddenly spike.
You also said that, was it so that mobile phones market is kind of a difficult market to make plans or estimations or calculations? Is there some examples about different industry fields market that are easy or difficult?
Blimey. I think the two examples that I've used are probably opposite ends of the scale. So FMCG, where actually struggles from an ROI perspective. It's good for distribution or maintaining distribution. That sits at the lower end. Telco at the higher end. In between, you've got finance and financial products where people can be incentivized. Cars, I imagine, will be towards the more difficult end as well, because the consideration cycle. You'll go out today and you'll buy another package, but you won't go out this afternoon and buy another car.
Why the mobile phone is difficult?
Because
lots of competition,
lots of different price points. You've got the battle between 2, maybe 3 different providers. The networks are all offering different prices, and then there's the additions on top of it. So O2 that we have over here offers reward or priority, so you can get priority tickets to content, things like that. Other providers will offer different incentives to their potential customers as well. So trying to unpick the effects of all of those is far more complicated than whether there's a 20% discount.
Yeah, I agree. Juha, would you like to answer the second one?
I wanna touch this one as well, because I think because we must remember that roses grow on shit as well, right? I mean, it's like accuracy versus correctness. Peter Drucker has said that it's more important to do the right things than doing things exactly right. And I think in Finland we have a tendency of looking for a 100% proof concepts.
That might be
and methodology. So in many discussions I have with advertisers, the advertisers are saying, but it's not able to measure this and that. And my argument is, okay, I'm solving 50% of your problems.
That's quite good as well.
Yeah. So why don't you take the 50% rather than keep stuck with the 100% of problems? I think that's one thing. So it's you have to have a good data, but I think it's a matter of accuracy versus correctness. Are you measuring the right things rather than are you measuring up just right? So that's something I would like to say. And I also want to go back a bit. I forgot to say in the beginning when you discussed about the different industries. I mean, Pasi and I know that Finland is not that competitive a market than, for instance, UK is. So there's a lot less competition going on in various sectors. So that might be something that also affects, meaning that you don't have such a pressure to measure things. But what was the second one, Pasi, you wanted me to comment on?
I think you are in a good flow. So we will. Martin and I decided that you can have the first comment in the second topic. And the second topic goes like this. It's enough to conduct cross-media measurement project once in a year. Continuous development is almost impossible.
I think the previous years have shown that the media consumption habits is a ever-changing entity or being, basically meaning that how people are using different digital mediums is changing all the time in different target groups. I think a good example is Facebook, when it used to be, for the front runners and early adapters in 2000, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 roundish, and today it's like the social media of elder people. So, I mean, there are things like that, and also there's at least in Finland there's seasonal differences a lot.
That's true.
And the other thing is that if you wait too long between the measurement points, it also means that it will take a long time until you can implement the findings. So basically, the more you do measurement, the faster you can implement the findings into your advertising and media allocation and budget optimization. So it is not enough. No. I mean, Martin, I understand if you had a model in 1990s or in 2000s, which you then applied to everything as like a static model, but that was long ago. I mean, the computing powers and the amount of data has increased so much that you should consider always on measurement. Okay,
Martin, do you agree with Juha?
Yes, as I turn my lights always on as well.
No worries.
There's a culture in the UK of regular reports. So agencies will report after each campaign. Auditors will report 2, 3, 4 times a year. Certainly with our most engaged clients over here, where we provide support and consultancy services, there's a view to looking at the results every month if they're always on after each big campaign, if there are sort of tentpole campaigns as you go through the year. There's a saying in the stock market which is let the trend be your friend. And if you just do a one-off big slug of activity, then here's a big summary. Then everything is average. You miss the variances, you miss the seasonality that you are talked about. And digital consumption is changing rapidly. We saw at the start of lockdown in 2020, we literally saw commercial impacts on telly change at the start of lockdown for all the audiences under 45s. And then there was a spike reported in YouTube viewing at 9 o'clock in the morning because there was a fitness influencer who would do workout sessions at 9 o'clock. And
that's crazy.
This is how you learn about what's going on with the market. It's how you get a little bit of a competitive advantage in the market by studying the data.
Okay, thanks. And the third topic goes like this. I think Juha has heard this many times. I don't know if Martin has, but I will give Martin the first comment. Third topic is like this. Media agency take care of this. As an advertiser, I don't need to know too much about different advertising channels and the advertising spend.
And you're saying that agencies are the ones
agency takes care of this. I don't need to know too much about this topic as an advertiser.
Where we see the most interesting work done, not just internally, but within the industry, is where you've got interested clients who want to know more. They'll ask the questions, they'll push for a bit more. We all know there are agency deals in place that will, let's say, direct investment into certain directions rather than others at times. So I think it's the job of the brand manager, the advertiser, to know a little bit about these channels. Hopefully what we bring is an independent view. So we report the numbers, and then it's up to advertisers to interpret it and work out what to do with that data.
Yeah. Martin, how, in your opinion, how important, or how have you seen, how important do you think is advertisers see that the measurements are produced by independent neutral party?
I think it's really important. It's I think, like I said, media owners will always produce the data that shows their product in the best light. And I'm sure we all know that in this industry, you can take one set of data and look at it 2 or 3 different ways. So we have consistent independent measurement, which is used across all the platforms that we cover. And I think that independence is a big thing. There's a lot of discussion about trust within the industry. That comes up quite a lot, and independence counts for an awful lot when advertisers are looking at suppliers.
Because I don't think we discussed that point of view in Finland that much. Pasi, what do you think? I mean, in terms of advertising measurements, I mean, we do talk about that. Talk about audience pricing.
I think there is rising amount of discussion about that, but it's still in these small groups. I think it's not public discussion so much. Yeah, but it's also coming in Nordic countries and Finland as well.
Because it's not that somebody's trying to fool you or is delivering false measurement results in purpose. That's not the point. But it's about having a equal methodology that treats everybody the same. I think that's the point.
It is the point, and some difficult to put in my words now because I represent IAB and we represent the we try to represent the whole digital industry. So I can take sides, for example.
Yeah, of course.
But of course, a third-party vendor like you should focus on everything what is happening around the media consumption and media investments. But for example, the retail media booming very strongly.
That's true.
Most likely in UK and in Finland as well, and they have heavily invested in data capabilities. But they all only report what is happening after the retail campaign and the visibility in their network. So that makes it, that might give a little bit wrong information about the all channels and the power of marketing in different channels. Kind of difficult to say with my current IAB role that this is good and this is not.
It's just interested in the conversation and what are people talking about. It's what you see and hear.
Yeah. But I think there is rising amount of discussions around that as well.
I think the digital audience measurement, like if you compare to TV meter or radio surveys, and also or TV advertising. I mean, that's like not maybe like years ahead in this, that for decades it has been a requirement that it's a third party, neutral, independent third party that delivers the TV advertising measurements. I mean, it's like you cannot imagine a world where each TV company would send their own data and advertisers would say, "Oh, cool, that's it."
That's cool,
right? Yeah. But in digital world, we're like, "Oh, okay, thanks." You just give you take the figures that are handed to you, and you're happy.
Yeah,
it's funny.
It is. And the last topic, I will give Martin a possibility to answer it first, because it would be good to hear if there is this kind of discussions in UK market. Topic is like this: cross-media measurement is not for us as we are a small advertiser. It's only for big boys and girls.
No, I think when you're a small advertiser, the potential to get things very right and very wrong is much bigger. So understanding where a finite budget can be made to work harder to make your buying more efficient and more effective. And Juha made a point earlier on about you can't just, it's not always about buying cheap media. If you look at the work that we've done, and we see the reach that comes through from different platforms, sometimes the cheapest stuff is actually what then transpires is the least effective. So being able to understand where your budget is going and what you're getting for it, the pros and cons, and having a discussion around it is that's how you start to make investment decisions and how you grow your brand.
Good. What about you, Juha? Any comments?
No, I didn't.
No.
I just was listening, Martin, so tenderly.
Okay. Yeah, listen and learn. Yeah, that's it. But finally, I have heard that you have a very good case study that you would like to share with the podcast listeners. Was it Boots?
Boots, yes. Boots? So they're a high street chemist, pharmaceutical retailer. Been around. I should know how long they've been around for, but it's a good couple of 100 years. And they use us. They use a selection of other third-party consultants. So the ones that spring to mind are System 1, who do creative quality, Lumen, who do attention tracking, people like Samba, who track television. And there are other ones who I've forgotten, so I apologise to them. And what they do 2 or 3 times a year is they get everybody in a room to analyse the Christmas campaign or the summer campaign or whatever it may be. And we all come with our different approaches. And they also include the ubiquity, the analytics providers. So we have our own view of the market, and we have the ROI on the back of it as well. And it's fascinating how most of the information that comes back and is presented all points in the same direction. It's not laser focused. It's sometimes sort of plus or minus 5% or so, but it all generally points in the same direction. You can make a very good case as to why this platform is doing really well and this platform might be struggling. And what's encouraged is debate, discussion, and also cross-company work as well. So we work very closely with Mediacom, providing data on that. They've worked very closely with combining our data and attention data. Again, there's conversations going on between us and Ubiquity about using our data to improve the models that they have. And it's this point about, in today's advertising media world, there's no single source of truth as to why something is effective. It's a process of triangulation. You get together lots of bits of information, and 5 of them will point in that direction. 1 points over there. You go with the 5. You keep a check on the 1 and try and work out why that is or how to improve it, and you move on. And that regular feedback, it's the face-to-face meeting or the virtual meeting where you discuss things rather than just having a table and going, there's the result. That's where the real value comes out of these sort of analyses. So collaboration, discussion, all that sort of stuff is very much to the fore of Boots.
Very interesting case. And is it so that both you and different service providers, attention service providers, Lumen and etc., they are in the same room at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Last time,
great. Yeah.
We had 50, 60 people in the room for the last meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
It's genuinely fascinating to see what people come out with.
It is. Do you see, Juha, this kind of approach in Finland?
Not
yet.
that extensively. No.
Yeah.
No. Well, of course, I cannot. I mean, let's say yes and no. But that's quite extensive with Boots. But
yeah. As a small last question, can you, Martin, give some advice maybe for listeners who are not so familiar with MMN? What kind of decisions, for example, are the most common with your customers, that what they are doing after, for example, first look of your results?
From the AudienceProject results?
Yeah.
Okay, so we see the amount of reach. We see the way that OTS can be controlled differently across different platforms, and when OTS is controlled differently, you see changes in the reach curve. We see how different channels have different places on a targeting map. Some are slightly younger, some are slightly older. Can those numbers be adjusted? Obviously, one of the key things that we do is we provide fusion of linear data and digital data, so they can see where the incremental reach is coming from. And then it's sometimes about delving into the detail a little bit more, and just instead of just looking at one particular channel, we delve into all the little campaigns and try and pick up the nuggets. So we found recently that a campaign that was targeting female influencers had a much more female profile than anything else that they'd run. So suddenly they've got, I can reach an audience slightly different from what I do by changing my buying approach, and that's then raise questions if they go out and target male influencers, or they get a very different profile on the back of it. So it's a case of validate what's been done, explore what other opportunities there are, maybe bring in another channel, a new channel, bring it in as a test. How does it compare, and work out what to improve. So those 3 things: validate, explore, and improve. Those are the pillars, I think, that the advertisers we work most closely with base their analysis on.
Excellent. Yeah, great. And thank you so much, Martin, and thank you so much, Juha, for a good discussion, very relevant for Finnish digital market as well. Do you have any final thoughts or ideas that you would like to share with the listeners? For example, what do you think that will happen in your business field within next 12 months or something?
Juha, you go first.
Juha.
Okay, all right, I'll go first. Yeah, in the next 12 months, will be at least what's going to happen in Audience Project, and I don't think it will happen elsewhere as well. Is the use of AI in a way that it's not been used so far in advertising measurement and especially in the planning side. So I think that's something our clients will see from our end in the next 12 months. We're gonna enhance our products quite a bit.
Yeah, I think we're certainly working towards making the key data more to the fore. We're working with the partnerships team in discussion with all the big platforms that you can imagine to try and onboard those as well, and to give our clients a better view, a more complete view of the digital media landscape and where their advertising is going out, what they're getting in return for their budget, and how they can do it better. Because I think ultimately we want advertising to succeed because it makes our clients' businesses stronger, and we all win on the back of it.
Good. Once again, thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Kiitos, Pasi. Thanks, Martin.
Thank you.